Then we'll open the floor for some prominent questions that have emerged. One gentleman came to me and he says, I need a business plan. Where do I start? Well, this will be a wonderful opportunity to ask a question like that. But I'm warning you, I will not take any elaboration. I don't want your full CV. When you pose the question, just briefly say who you are, where you're from, and then pose the question. But if you say, I was born in 1948, and my mother was very prominent in community development, I'm going to say, next question. Are we in agreement on that? All in favor say aye. Aye. I'm very pleased that this House is in agreement. Ladies and gentlemen, just before we broke for lunch, I told you that risk management is a vital part of your new business and your existing business. Am I right? Do you remember that? Now I'm going to the next level. Now, can you imagine if you had to go to the bank requesting money to get your business going, and you list all the issues that might have an impact on your business, all the risks? You're now entering the next phase, and that is the documentation and reporting of risk management and how you run your business, which is a very, very important aspect. Is how do you report? Now let me give you a classic example, down-to-earth example. One, in my life, I have insurance on my motor car. You have insurance on your motor car, I think, all right? And some of you have even got short-term insurance on your TV at home against theft or against damage from the hail. Do you agree with me? That insurance? But who of you have put that you've got the insurance on your CV? You know what your CV is? Think about it. We do all these things, but we don't report on them. We don't put them in our CV. And I'm saying to you now that in your business profile, in your business CV, a lot of you have omitted things that should be there that will make you look better. Think about it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start with UNISA. You all know what UNISA is? United Nations Independent. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask the panel, starting with Carl, just to give us a brief overview and a rundown of what they do and how they do it and why they are qualified to answer your questions. Carl? Carl?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Karel van Aarden. I'm from the Bureau of Market Research of UNISA. I'm not a true academic because what the Bureau is it's a consultancy unit within UNISA. We're completely self-funded. For all practical reasons, we are also an SMME in the sense that we generate our own income, we pay our overheads, etc. We've got a wide range of clients. I'm an economist focusing on especially macroeconomic modeling, and what that basically means for businesses is that we focus on opportunities for various businesses, because because quite a lot of people will tell you that there's sometimes a lot of business opportunities when there's an economic upswing, and there's sometimes when there's very few economic opportunities when there's a downswing. But that's not true, in the sense that there are always opportunities. But you have to understand the economic cycle, basic economic dynamics, to be able to identify those opportunities, to optimize those opportunities, and to make good profits at all stages of the business cycle. That's just a very quick introduction as to what I'm doing.
Thank you, Carl. Carl's got a PhD. Do you know what a PhD is? It's not a pothole dodger. Not a pothole dodger.
Hi, I'm Chris Doby. I work at the Ethics Institute of South Africa. We are a not-for-profit organization, but probably a better description would be a social enterprise. We do a lot of consulting work in the ethics space. Our vision is to create an ethical South Africa or ethically responsible society. And that we do by promoting ethics management within organizations. So generally we would work with organizations trying to get them to develop their codes of ethics and their ethics management framework that they're going to be working in, and capacitating the people who are going to manage that process within the organizations. We also do a bit of research. We do quite a lot of training. Our flagship program is an ethics officer certification program, where we try to give a practical training program to people who are going to be involved in the management of ethics in organizations. My main focus is actually in the anti-corruption field, for which apparently there is a bit of a need in South Africa. But yeah, so I do a lot of work with government as well. And there's a lot of people who are trying to fight corruption. And our approach obviously is more from the ethics side. Obviously the policies and procedures and everything that one needs to have in place is very important. But if those aren't supported by an ethical culture in an organization, then basically they start losing their value. So I think with that, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Wimpy.
I'm Eric Tocknell, an ambassador for Jesus Christ.
Thanks to the ambassador, Dedi Kuselo from Busa Management Solutions. The company does human development and organizational development. So we do talks, we are accredited by Services CETA, and I also do consulting work. Personally, I've been in the field for now 10 years.
Finally,
Linda Ntuli. I'm a motivational speaker. I consult, I train, facilitate, and coach. I believe that anyone from all walks of life can make it in business. I believe in people like you because I'm also an owner of a business, and I believe that together we can achieve more. We've got a lot on our side to fight and ensure that we become astute business people. So anyone in this life can make it. Don't believe other people's opinions. Thank you.
thank you. Panel, if you've got pens and paper, can I take 4 comments and then we open the floor, we open you, or allow you to comment? So I'll take 4 at a time. Hands up, who would like to ask a question? I see one hand right at the back. Runel, would you take the gentleman right at the back? Anybody else in this block? Thank you, noted, and noted, and noted.
All right. A little bit. Is it all right? Good day to everybody. My name is Tsepo, and I have just been engaging a little with Mr. Eric Tocknell, just between the intervals, between the break. And I've learned that he, in fact, even now, he just introduced himself as an ambassador of Jesus Christ. And, you know, my question would then be, Mr. Eric, speaking from where you're sitting, what do you say to somebody that has mastered the art of spirituality and is simultaneously ambitious and at the same time living in this world?
Thank you, Tsep. There's a hand here. There we go. And then there was a lady here, and you next, and then you, sir. Right. And then we'll open.
My questions are, in fact, 2. One to the ambassador of Jesus Christ, of course, and the other one to Mr. Chris. Number 1, sir, if I may, advice to the untested models. We hear lately that, some of the entrepreneurs' challenges are around, the funding, and because their business are not, about their ideas are not tested in a business text. Number two, to Mr. Chris Dode. As the, what do you call it, on the ethics type of it, the challenge around the corruption, as it may be put, does not start on the public sector. It starts, on my belief, it starts on the private, that much. Vice versa, where do we start? Do we start cancelling also the private sector first, going to the public? Because I believe the public servants are tested by us first. Thank you.
Eric, did you get the gist of the first question there? The gentleman's first question, you got it?
Good afternoon. I'm Iris Ntebe from Emfuleni Local Municipality. My question is, I need to know, the acronyms are SMM, small, medium, and micro. What are the figures around, if they say you are a small enterprise, within which amount ranges do you work? If you're considered a micro enterprise, how much are you supposed to be functioning around?
Okay, thank you. My name is Selepe, and I represent myself, of course, as a motivational speaker, targeting mainly the burn survivors and the burn victims. My question is basically to Eric. When we look back, when he started the business in 1976, technology was not so advanced. I just want to know, with us, the generation of today, that technology favors us so much. What actually helped you to be able to get so organized from the beginning, getting the people working together then, looking more, especially if you can just tell us about the commitment, how you managed to get people committed into the goal that people have achieved today. When finally is the one that will go to daddy, especially on sales and marketing. That which person do you value the most, seeing that you narrated so much around the animals? Which will you describe as the best salesperson between a crocodile and an elephant salesperson, and why?
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. I think the majority of the questions are posed to you, but panel, the floor is yours.
I'm going to handle that second question first, as to how do you get money to start an enterprise? Doesn't matter how big it is. And maybe I can give you a testimony which may help you. I was a frustrated financial director of quite a large company. I'm an accountant. And just not happy with life. Although we were making a lot of money, we were making a great impact, I felt that there was something more to life, and that was creating my own enterprise. And I was walking around the city of Durban looking for something to do which could possibly be something which grew big. And my imagination was going wild, and my expectations were reaching out beyond the norms of life. And suddenly I thought, where are all the people in the city at lunchtime? And they were in their offices eating lunch and waiting for 2 o'clock to start again. I thought, I wonder what would happen if I put a restaurant to serve a hamburger, some chips, a Coke, and some coffee. What would happen? And my mind was going, man, this is possible. And I thought, I can do it in Durban and South Africa and Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, Brazil. I could do it everywhere. But the issue came as I had no money. I really had no money. We had 2 children, and we were living in a rented house. And how was I going to get money? So I thought, what are going to be my prime ingredients? I needed some ice cream, I needed some Coca-Cola, I needed some meat, I needed some buns. I then looked up as to who makes the most ice cream, the most Coke, the most meat, and the most buns. And I went and visited those people, and I told them what I wanted to do. very clearly. I had no pictures. I had no overhead projector. I just told them what I wanted to do. And I said to him, I'm going to make you people big. You need to support me. And I asked each of them to give me 50,000 rand. And they did. And I started off with 200,000 rand from them. And I said to them, I'm going to make you big. And I did. And I think when it comes to funding, if your idea is that valid, you should be able to convince somebody who's going to benefit from your idea to be able to fund you. I got a guy the other day. I live in the valleys of KwaZulu-Natal, about 40 kilometers from Durban, up in the hills. The chap came to see me and he said, he's tired of being retrenched. He's tired of money not coming in. He wants to start his own business. So I said, what do you want to do? He said, I want to make blocks. Now everybody is making blocks. He said, I want to make the best block in town. I said, okay, who are you going to bless? He said, I'm going to bless the architects, the designers, and the householders. And where are you going to get your stuff from? Now he's going to get his cement from NPC, going to get his sand from Mangani Sand, and he's going to get his water from Mangani Water. I said, make a list of those people that you think you're going to bless, which he did. He brought the list back to me, and he had contacted an architect, he had contacted NPC, and they all loaned him some money to start his business. If you have such energy and such passion for your business, work out who you're going to bless. That's the people that are going to supply you. And work out who's going to receive a blessing from you. I've never in South Africa seen it before, the generosity of people who want to help entrepreneurs. But it's up to you. You've got to think big. You've got to act big. And you've got to be big. I then took that 200,000 rand, and I think there's 750 Wimpy bars doing 10, 15 billion turnover, employing 300,000 people. One idea. That could be you. And they said to me, do you mean to say this old book that nobody reads gives you the inspiration to be who you are? I said, no, I got the latest edition. It's the most popular book in the world, and it inspires me. Never be ashamed to tell people what you rely on, what your anchor in life is, and that which can be a blessing to them. For 40 years, people were scared to tell me the gospel. And I'm so sad that it was 40 years of age when somebody took the trouble to share with me. Now, the gospel belongs to business. It belongs to government. It belongs here. It belongs in the hotels. It belongs in the casino. It's a gospel that changes life. And I think that if you are concerned about sharing the gospel, you better check out your relationship with God. Now, He's a good God. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. I think, Dada, you had a comment that was...
Right, the question was related to sales and stuff. I'm not comfortable to make or draw a comparison between a crocodile and an elephant as it relates to sales. But, there's something very critical that people don't realize, especially on the subject of sales, that we are always in the business of selling. Whether we are conscious of it or not, we are always selling. It's almost like sitting with your family members and you are selling an idea regarding a holiday or want them to buy into something and others. So we are always selling. But you see, when people have to see themselves as professional salespeople, that's when they begin to have a problem, So therefore, we need to demystify it to say we are always selling, and every person is capable of selling, because everything that we do in life is selling. Thank you.
Just on the question that was raised with respect to the meaning of SMME, and the other M. The first part is that I need to indicate that there's always two variables that's being used to determine that. And that is the turnover of a company as well as the number of employees. Now, and it depends on a sector, what turnover it should be and how many employees. For a micro-enterprise, it's very easy. Micro-enterprise is an enterprise that has got 0 employees. It might have 1 or 2 contracted people, and it's usually a business with a turnover of less than 500,000 rands per annum. That's your micro-enterprise. A small enterprise, for that definition, it differs per sector, because some sectors are very capital intensive, and it could, for example, be like in the financial services sector, that you've got a person with just 1 or 2 employees, but with a massive turnover. But generally, a small business is a business that's got between 1 and 5 employees. That's, as indicated, it depends per sector. And it's a business that generally has got a turnover of less than 5 million. A medium enterprise is usually an enterprise with a turnover between 5 million and about 400 million. And the number of employees also usually differ between about 5 up to the Employment Equity Act's requirement of 25. But maybe what's very important for you to know with regard to SMMEs, in South Africa, we've got very, very few big companies. 603 companies in South Africa, 603, pay 62% of company tax. Only 603. Also, of the 1.8 million businesses or companies, registered companies in South Africa, you've got at the moment a situation where 18,200 of them, of that, and so that's less than 1% of the total, employ 5.3 million of the 9.2 million formal sector employees. The implication is that what's happening at the moment is that your micro enterprises is increasing and your small businesses are increasing, while there's less and less percentage-wise big and medium businesses in South Africa.
Chris?
Yeah, if I can answer the question related to corruption as it relates in the private sector. And it's very true. I mean, you've got a supply side and a demand side of corruption. That's how it's referred to. The anti-corruption legislation refers to corruptors and corruptees. Generally it is business who would approach someone in order to get a benefit in some decision-making process. So there's definitely a need for business to look inward as well when it comes to the corruption discussion. I think the reason why there's so much focus at the government level is because there's the expectation that public servants should be above board and that public servants should behave ethically. I think the temptation is always going to be there. If one is realistic, there's always going to be some small business person or big business person without scruples who's going to try and tempt government employees. So it's almost more manageable to have a look at the government employees and at that point of contact and to try and address the problem there. But that takes nothing away from the responsibility of business, organized business, down from Busa at the top, down to the smallest business chamber and small business organizations, to try and start creating that culture where bribing is frowned upon, where paying a kickback is frowned upon, where the gifts that we give and the entertainment that's excessive is frowned upon. So there is that responsibility among the business community, very definitely, to make that culture change. So that if someone is engaged in that kind of activity, it stands out immediately, and people see that as wrong.
Have you got a comment on this?
Well, I think I could just add on what Daddy has said about sales, that all of us are sellers, and please, if you are to make your business successful, just try to upscale your knowledge about sales, because you will need to sell one way or the other, and you'll need to support your team who are selling on your behalf. So please, you just need, but more than anything, it's not just about sales, it's about understanding and mastering the business principles. Thank you.
Thank you, panel. Just to add on to your comment regarding where's the boundaries between the different SME, SMMEs, etc. One of the greatest